Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Instead of trying to be something y'all ain't. Ain't bang them books. Ain't bang them trying to be something y'all ain't.
Shalom. Peace. How's everybody doing? This is your brother and friend Yeshaya Israel of the tribe of Dan of the nation of Israel. This is your brother and friend Yeshaya Israel. We hope, we pray that everybody is well and will be better. This is brought to you from Danitepublications. The website being Danitepublications.com. You can go online and see what the website offers, other videos and things of that kind of nature. Brothers and sisters, there has been, I wouldn't per se call it a movement, but there has been, brothers and sisters. Just checking the camera real quick right there. A situation in which people speaking upon the ancestors. And sometimes when people speak upon it, they speak broadly. And when I say broadly, I mean in regards with, say, Black people in general. But as we know, brothers and sisters, that there are different nations of Black people. Not all Black people are one and the same people. You understand? So now when we speak upon, say, the ancestors, we are asking, which ancestors are we speaking of? You would have to, in general terms, identify the land, the language, the culture, the people, and so forth, about of whom we're speaking of in said particular manner, if we will. Now, brothers and sisters, this is not to say that Black people, being different ethnicities, not all monolithic, did not mix with one another, did not share languages one with another. And speaking candidly as an Israelite, when you study Hebrew, you will begin to sit there and see that there are words that are identical in Hebrew to other languages. And we're going to go over that in a presentation that a brother intends to do about Leviticus chapter 15, which speaks, and where we're going to talk about a woman's cycle and things of that kind of nature and so forth. We're going to go into that from the Hebraic perspective and other aspects. So we ask you to subscribe to the channels, Mora Yeshaya Torah lessons, Mora Yeshaya history lessons, and to see me on Facebook, on the Facebook profile, Yeshaya Author Danite. All righty. Not sure how many people in the chat in the live, but if you can hear me and if you're in good spirits and you can hear me well, please press the number 4. Asking you all, if you can hear me well and if you are in good spirits, please press the number 4. Again, we are currently on the platforms Mora Yeshaya Torah lessons, Mora Yeshaya history lessons, in a Facebook profile Yeshaya Author Danite. What we're going to talk about, brothers and sisters, in this, if we will, is to cover 2 topics. One, ancient Israel was about speaking about their ancestors. There's a part in the book of Deuteronomy that says, ask your fathers and they will tell you, your ancestors and they will relay it to you. So it is not about a thing of not inquiring, brothers and sisters, about what the ancestors would have stated. What we do not do in Israel, according to our laws, and when you go and read in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 18, We don't do necromancy. We don't take and go and do a seance, if you will. We don't sit there and go to the graves and summon the spirit of such and such, say in that particular case. Sidebar, if we will, to those who may have been wondering, did ancient Israel deal with tombstones? Yes, they did. This is why you have the cave of Machpelah in the land of Hebron, even to this day. You understand? So these are things, brothers and sisters, we care to bring out and say for reference purposes. What can we ascertain and gain in this particular matter? We're going to talk too about the matter of trying to essentially, in so many words, disavow the captivity and the enslavement that happened with our people. When many of our people, many of our black people speak upon the matter of, say, ancestors and so forth, Oluda Equiano was one of those ancestors. He was from the Igbo people in current day Nigeria that was taken as a child as a captive during the Atlantic slave trade, and he left an account of such. But sometimes when people speak upon, say, ancestors, some speak upon that kind of matter, and then some speak upon it to try to disavow that kind of matter. What matter am I talking about that some either speak upon or disavow? The captivity, the enslavement, the sad part that happened with our people in history. You may have noticed recently on the platform, certainly Maury Yeshaya History Lessons, that a brother has been, for the lack of a better term, if we will, quote, going in regarding the matter of what we've gone through as a people. A lot of times, say back in the 80s, and I'm certain before that, and certainly into the 90s, it was slavery was just a part of our history. And it was a part of our history. The reason in part why a brother goes into it heavily, you might see on the platforms, is because some are trying to erase that part of history. And no, we're not going to allow that to happen, brothers and sisters. If many of our people in Mississippi, you understand today, are commemorating, may he rest in peace, Emmett Till, by having a statue of Emmett Till up. And this is not trying to minimalize it, in less than 100 years of what happened with Emmett Till at the age of 14 in the year 1955, when he was murdered based upon a lie and emotion by Carolyn Bryant, who before she died stated that she lied about Emmett Till doing what she said he did to her. You understand? When you begin to sit there and try to minimize the sadness that happened with us as a people, what you have done is give a pass to the enslaver. You have Alexander Falconbridge, a white man in the 18th century who spoke upon being the doctor in the slave ship. But now you got black people asking, how could they bring all of them over there? Well, you had what they call loose fit or loose pack and tight pack. There were slave ships that had less than 200 and some that had over 600. You had submarines that were used in the 19th century regarding the matter of the slave trade and so forth. The record from what happened with Amistad, brothers and sisters, definitely is an account of such. So we definitely do not want to think or make the future think that our history is based upon slavery, but we do not want the minimalists, not to try to be funny, black people actually try to say, oh, it was just 3%. You're not going to sit there and say that and nobody comes and check that kind of matter. It was only 3% that was brought here. Meanwhile, while saying we are indigenous here, as some say, where is the conversation about the ones that was brought over east? You understand? So these are things, again, that we've been talking upon, and we want to give, in this particular case, as some will refer to it as primary sources, if you will. We're going to, brothers and sisters, and the link of this is inside the description. This book right here. This is a book that, brothers and sisters, it's called Israelite History as it Relates to the World. And you can get this book on Amazon. It's the description. In the description is the link for such. On page 196 of this book, I cited this particular matter here, if we will. My mammy, Junie, was a queen in Africa. They kidnaps her and steal her away from her throne and fetches her here to Wake County in slavery. Slave testimony of Ann Parker from North Carolina. Now, for those who do know, North Carolina was a slave state, brothers and sisters. Wake County is a county in North Carolina. Let's continue. Another account. Our great-grandmother was named Granny Flora. They stole her from Africa with a red pocket handkerchief. Old man John William Go, my great-grandmother. Slave testimony of Hannah Crasson, a slave in North Carolina. So, brothers and sisters, reading from the book that we're going to show right here, in which I cited, in regards with that, and part of it is shown inside of the thumbnail on YouTube. This book here called Israelite History as it Relates to the World. The description in the description is the link for such, as pointed out. You understand? We do not, again, want to have it minimalized by saying we don't know nothing and have no connection, say, with, quote, Africa. Such is not the case. I've taken the time out to invite people to be on a platform concerning that kind of subject. So far, no takers. It is not to sound boastful or arrogant, belligerent, or disrespectful either in that particular manner. But these are things that we want to never, ever allow anyone to disavow. These are things that we want. You understand? So, we are going to, let me set this up on my side here. Brothers and sisters, we are going to go into more accounts concerning this kind of matter, if we will. I have a book here that I'm going to show. Voices from Slavery, 100 Authentic Slave Narratives, edited by Norman R. Getman. Now, let's see some of the accounts, brothers and sisters, from the book that was just shown. On page 45 of this book, we're going to read it, and let's see what it says. All right? John Brown, interviewed in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Age when interviewed, 87. Goes to say this. Most of the time, there was more than 300 slaves on the plantation. The oldest ones came right from Africa. My grandmother was one of them. A savage in Africa, a slave in America. Mammy told it to me. Over there, all the natives dressed naked and lived on fruits and nuts. Never see many white men. One day, a big ship stopped off the shore, and the natives hid in the brush along the beach. Grandmother was there. The shipmen sent a little boat to the shore and scattered bright things and trinkets on the beach. The natives were curious. Grandmother said everybody made a rush for them things soon as the boat left. The trinkets were fewer than the people's. Next day, the white folks scattered some more. There was another scramble. The natives were feeling less scared, and the next day, some of them walked to the gang plants to get things off the plank and off the deck. The deck was covered with things like they found on the beach. 200-300 natives on the ship. When they feel it move, they rush to the side, but the plank was gone, just dropped in the water when the ship moved away. Folks on the beach started to crying and shouting. The ones on the boat was wild with fear. Grandmother was one of them who got fooled, and she say the last thing seen of that place was natives running up and down the beach waving their arms and shouting like they was mad. The boatmen came up from below where they had been hiding and drive the slaves down the bottom to keep them quiet. With the whips and clubs, the slaves were landed at Charleston. Charleston is in South Carolina. Brothers and sisters, what do we want to speak upon regarding that? In the presentation, we spoke about the senators and the leaders, brothers and sisters from Charleston, that were involved, brothers and sisters, in the slave trade. Charleston was a place where the slave ships would dock off in slavery, brothers and sisters. So this is not to sit there and to be taken lightly. Now, how can we show evidence in reality of what we're talking about concerning what we read? According to what we read from a person that was 87 years old in Tulsa, Oklahoma, some decades ago, they sprinkled things on the ground in Africa, and the people in Africa went to go and see what it was about. Seems fictitious, maybe to some. But brothers and sisters, when they sprinkle the Uzis and the Glock 9s in Compton and South Central, and then the Bloods and Crips take it and use it, who brought those guns over there? We've been saying for quite some time, we don't bring the guns and the drugs into our community. So when they sit there and brought the drugs and the guns in the community of our people, and we feel like fools, victims to such, who did that? Just the same. According to the account we just read, they left some trinkets on the ground in Africa, and the people who were tricked to try to go and see what it was one day to the next were then loaded into the ship. So now, taking our brothers and sisters, just using the West Coast as an example, when black men just mysteriously find Uzi guns and Glock 9s and Mac 10s and all of that kind of stuff. Just want to show the camera ever so often, right? Who put that there for the trick? And then who got put into the prison system like our people was put into captive inside the ships? When we say that history repeats itself, it does, but we don't want that history to be our history repeating itself. You understand? So we have to change that dynamic, not by saying, oh, it didn't happen in slavery, but rather saying, let's not get fooled again. You understand? We're going to be reading from the same book here. I'm going to show it again for those interested. Voices from Slavery. All right? This is the book we read from and going to be reading from now. On page 50 of this book, here is what we read in this case. I was born in yonder southeast Texas, and I don't know what month or the year for sure, but 'twas there more than 100 years ago. My mammy and pappy was born in Africa. That's what they told me. They was owned by Master Bob Houston, and him had the ranch down there where they have cattle and horses. Interview in Fort Worth, Texas. The name of the person, James Cape. According to this person, interviewed, say, 100 or more years at age, the person didn't know his own age. According to him, he was told that his mother and father was born in Africa. Now, brothers and sisters, why would somebody make something like that up? What do you gain by saying, if you're a white man or woman, that you was and your people were involved in one of the greatest human crimes of all history? From the timing of Henry the Navigator in the 1440s, right down to the matter of the last known slave ship going to Brazil in 1888. Most of the accounts come from Europeans or Caucasians or white people, if you will. Why will they, knowing as many times people like to cover up shame, sit there and make up a story about them being the captors of captives in Africa brought to the West? That would make no sense. You understand? So let us get into another account, if we will. Brothers and sisters, same book. We're going to show it again for those who are interested, family, in this particular case. And we're going to be reading in this book on page 175. And let's see what it says in that particular case. The master's name was usually adopted by the slave after he was set free. This was done more because it was the logical thing to do and the easiest way to be identified when it was through affection for the master. Also, the government seemed to be in an almighty hurry to have us get names. We had to register as someone so we could be citizens. Well, I got to thinking about all us slaves that was going to take the name Fitzpatrick. I made up my mind I'd find one and a different one. One of my grandfathers in Africa was called Jacko, so I decided to be Jackson. This is from a slave testimony of a person named Martin Jackson, interviewed in San Antonio, Texas. Age when he was interviewed, 90. He chose the name Jackson as opposed to, per se, Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick goes back to the Irish, brothers and sisters. In a book a brother wrote called From Assyria to America, I mentioned about the Irish that were used and employed by the British during the slave trade. So now, yes, there were British who did enslave the Irish, but then you have the British employing the Irish in regards with enslaving the black man. So these are things that we care to sit there again and bring out for reference purposes. Let us, if you will, family, pull up the PowerPoint. Thank you for that. All right. In this particular case, if we will. Looking at it from this point. Again, if I can be heard and people in good spirits, please type in the number 4. Thank you for that, family, in that case. Call this one here concerning the fathers. In Hebrew, pronounced as Al-Ha'abot. Now, let's show, if we will, brothers and sisters, with the laser pointer, Al on or concerning Ha'abot, the fathers. Now, this present is brought to you from Danitepublications. We hope and pray that you all are well and will be better. I can be reached, as you see the number across the screen, 908-587-4841. All right? Again, 908-587-4841. So let us, Shalom Ak Yirmiyahu. So let us get into this, looking at it in this particular manner. Concerning the fathers, Al-Ha'abot. Now, in Hebrew, we want to point out that Hebrew is read from right to left. All right? So, Al, meaning on or concerning, or about. Ha'abot, ha, the. Ab, father. Abba, daddy. Abi, my father. Abot, fathers, ancestors. Mothers and fathers become the parents at the same time. In Hebraic thought, we know that the word Ab means ancestor. So when we say Abot, we're talking about the ancestors. All right? In Hebraic thought, there is no need, though it's not wrong, if you were to say Ha'abot Wagam Ha'imot, the fathers and the mothers. Because a father is an ancestor, which would mean that in order for him to be a father, there had to be a mother in Hebraic thought. All right? So we want to point that out for reference purposes. Let's get into this if we will. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verses 2 and 5. It shall return to the Lord thy God and hearken to his voice, according to all that I command thee this day, thou and your children, with all thy heart and with all thy soul. So yes, we love history. Yes, we love to sit there and get into it. But brothers and sisters, let us also remember that there is a future in this as well. You understand? And in such, looking at it, wanted to change the font real quick. All right. Looking at such a manner like that, if we will, if it speaks about you and your children, that means you have to be concerned regarding the future. It cannot, must not, and can never properly be a thing where the children are to be neglected. It can never properly be a thing. You understand? I'm going to, not to give all the info out about future presentations, go into a skit that comes from the movie A Family That Prays, that was made by Tyler Perry. And there's a scene in there that people show the skit of saying where the mother is telling the daughter, essentially, whatever happened between the mother and the father, the daughter needs to get over it. Yet the daughter doesn't have any closure in getting over it because she doesn't know what happened. So a lot of people, I noticed when I commented on it, was saying, well, it's really none of the children's business. But let's look at the movie real quick, Tyler Perry's movie, A Family That Prays, in regards with that skit. Sanaa Lathan, playing a woman named Andrea, is shown in the beginning of the movie with the wedding dress. So how then do we think to say, don't tell the children? She's already a grown woman with a husband and a child. See, what happens with black people, no disrespect intended, is we don't want the sad drama to sit there and be known. Is that why some people deny we come from Africa in the slave trade? Let's just have romanticism and everything was nice and pretty. No, such is not the case. Such is not the truth. Let the children know the truth. You understand? If we in one breath, such is not the truth. Let the children know the truth. You understand? If we sit there in one case talking about confession is good for the soul, and then we sit there in another breath and sit there and say the children don't need to know, you're forgetting in that particular movie, the woman was shown as such a woman, not a child. Children are going to ask you why this and why that. We went over that yesterday in the Bible when the children are to ask or would be asking, what mean ye by this service? What is Passover about? You got to tell them we were captives in Egypt and the Most High delivered us. You have bitter herbs during that time to remind your descendants of what your ancestors went through. So now, be it our immediate parents, grandparents, that we spoke upon in some of the portions of the book that we read called Voices from Slavery, saying where their parents and grandparents came from and what some of the things they went through. And in one case where you could just, I'll pick this name here because I like it, and so forth and so on. You understand? There has been minimalism done about the drama, sadness, oppression, calamity, unhappiness, if that's even a word, that we as black people have gone through. Parents don't want to tell their children where the father or the mother messed up. You got some quote-unquote black scholars that want to sit there and deny that we even were slaves. I remember one person online was saying slavery ended in 1808. No, the slave trade ended its legal function internationally in 1808 by the orders of Thomas Jefferson. But brothers and sisters, there was a slave ship that was noted in 1859, 1860 called the Clotilde that was pointed out also in the brother's book. So we can't do not disrespecting any understanding of the world of black people, like the Egyptian, the Kemetic, if you will, Ramses and Thutmose. What about Red Amun of ancient Egypt? Not to sadden nobody. What about the drama that happened between the priesthood of ancient Kemet and the royalty of ancient Kemet and the timing of Sitma, one of the pharaohs? What happened, speaking as the house of Yisrael, between Jeroboam and Rehoboam? Consistent war. But are we to minimize the fact that ancient Israel was so close to the maker of heaven and earth that when Solomon did an offering, it said that fire came down from the heavens? That is a fact written in the scriptures. But it's also a fact that there was civil war within ancient Israel. So we can't just tell one part without telling the other part, because then we'll be known as embellishers. Just want to say, well, this is just the great thing with that. You understand? Solomon was noted, brothers and sisters, as taking care of his servants. The people who built the 4 images of Ramses II, did he take care of them? How were they treated? Because that didn't exist before his birth. So these are things, brothers and sisters, again, that we sit there and care to bring out for reference purposes. Now, when we start talking about Al-Ha'abot, the ancestors, we cannot focus solely on that without acknowledging the matter of the future. So now when we go, looking at this from a Hebraic perspective, let's use the laser point if we will, with Shabta, and you shall return, Ad, unto Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh, the Most High, Eloheka, your God, with Shamata, and you shall hearken, Bequolo, to his voice. Kukol, sorry. That's a K sound with the cough, sorry. Kukol, according to all, like all, Asher, which, Anoki, I, Mitzavka, command you. Anoki Mitzavka, I command you. This ka at the end means you. Hayom, today, this day. Ata, you. Ubaneka, and your children. Now, you do know that this Baneka includes your sons and daughters. Okay. Boko, with all, in all. Lebabka, your heart. This ka means your. This ka means your. Ubko, in all, nafshika, and all your soul. This ka means your. It serves as a suffix. And the Lord thy God will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good and multiply thee above your fathers. We read this yesterday. You're supposed to want your children to be better than you. You understand? You again are supposed to want your children to be better than you. We have to leave things for our children. We don't want our children to have to sit there and be like, let's call on the ancestors by going to the grave and summoning up the spirits. No, because anyone who's been noted for doing that, it never turned out good. You understand? Show the reality of the Torah, but that's not the most nicest things. Leviticus 19. Do not prostitute your daughter to cause her to be a harlot. That's not only talking about you and your biological daughter, and it's not trying to be funny. Many pimps are older than the women that they use on the street. That's still your family extended. That's still your daughter. Did you know Joshua, being an elder, called Achan my son? Did not Solomon call us, my son, hearken unto my wisdom? Solomon is not, unless you come from the line of David, your biological father. But if we know ourselves as Israel, Solomon's an Israelite, an ancestor. So when he said, my son, who's he talking to? Us. So we don't sit there and conjure say up the dead. That's not the kind of ancestor respect we're talking about. You understand? Let them rest in peace. We're talking about having passed on things from our ancestors to the future, such as we see in the scriptures. The scriptures talk about, not knocking the scriptures, books that are not mentioned in the scriptures. The book of the wars of Yah, mentioned in Numbers. We don't have that per se on record. The book of the prophet Edo, we don't have that on record. The book of the prophet Gad, we don't have that on record. So there are books that the Tanakh, the said Old Testament, mentioned that we do not have. What happened when the Greeks came in and Israelites are dispersing? What happened when Rome came in and Israelites are dispersing? I moved earlier this year into New Jersey, where I'm at now, right? Don't you know the more you move, unless you're very meticulous, you're going to sit there and lose things in the process. Oh, I forgot this, and moving and traveling, this was left and lost and so forth. Those things happen. It's life. But what we want to leave on record, when you read in Torah talking about leave the sign on the door for the doorpost, these are things that we're talking about. So now, when Torah tells us, do not prostitute your daughter to cause her to be a harlot, don't sit there and be a role model to these younger women to sit there and think your purse is in between your legs. Women used to hear that back in the 60s. I know this because some women told me who were elders. We have to say, change that dynamic, brothers and sisters. Lest the land fall into lewdness, says Leviticus. And now you see, not trying to knock Brooklyn, coming out of Brooklyn, East New York, Brooklyn, Livonia, Pink houses for those who know that area, Linden houses for those who know that area, Stanley Avenue for those who know all that particular area, the warehouses, the factories, the train yard, prostitute lane. Black women out there. You can go online and type in Hunts Point in the Bronx. How does all of this tie in? Because we're talking reality. Leviticus 19 tells us we're not supposed to do that to and with the sisters. Do not make a harlot out of the daughter's design. Do not prostitute your daughter to cause her to be a harlot, lest the land fall into lewdness. And that is some, and I'm not trying to hate on Brooklyn, that is some of the poorest parts of Brooklyn, if you will. You understand? So these are things that we want to talk about. So as you can see the wisdom and the reality in the Torah in that case, then we can sit there and see the reality when it says do not deal with the dead. Don't go and raise up the conjuring up the dead. We have things like this, brothers and sisters, to leave on record. Write your book. Make your platform. Put it on StreamYard. Leave your voice out there. It's even easier these days to do it than say it was in the 80s or so, or to even say before then. You understand? Not trying to hate on nobody. How much good did Saul have when he rose up the spirit of Samuel the prophet? He passed away the next day. What happened when that guy Umar Johnson called himself raising up the spirit of Harriet Tubman? Leave the ancestors be. Take their wisdom by writing it. Take their wisdom by oral tradition. I lost my grandmother this year. May she rest in peace. The woman was over 90 years old. I remember asking her, Grandma, you remember Malcolm X? Yes. Grandma, you remember Martin Luther King? Yes. She, not to get too personal in the family, born in the 1930s, passed away this year over the age of 90, was part of the people that migrated from the South to the North in the 1940s as a teenager due to the Jim Crow matter. Respect your ancestors. Doesn't mean you got to sit there and go and try to raise up their spirit. Cherish them when they're alive. And the Lord thy God will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possess, and thou shalt possess it. Shall meaning that Israel, the Y sound in Yisrael identifies the future tense. We're supposed to be futuristic. We love history, but yes, we're supposed to be futuristic. Like stated, not to get too personal, I got my own spot now. I moved out here to St. Jersey, brothers and sisters, right? You'll be surprised what you find when you clean up. I found certain things I thought that I was like, man, did I put that in stories, this and that, moving this and that and so forth? I make that point to know that, yes, we love history, but we still got to be futuristic. Know what's going on. Know about your responsibilities that you got to sit there and handle. Family, we are in the United States for most of the people on the platform and the channel. Analytics shows, what country most of the subscribers are in? It's inside the United States. Get what they call your real ID. Go to the DMV and get your real ID. Go and get your passport. These things do not sit there and hurt us. All right? Let's go on and look at this. And the Lord thy God will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed. We have a land on earth. We're not looking as the house of Israel to die and go to heaven for peace. We seek our peace while we are living on earth. And thou shalt possess it. And he will do thee good. He, the Most High, will do thee good and multiply thee above thy fathers. This means that us who are becoming fathers and ancestors, those who are becoming older, cannot, must not, should not be jealous of the future because they're supposed to be better than you. And if you do your job properly, you're going to sit there and look, that's my boy. That's my little lady right there. But black people, we can't sit there and be jealous of the future. We can't sit there and try to do things that block the progress. All right, let's go on. And it says here in the Hebrew, where be aka yode wahe Elohir ka. Now this ka at the end here serves as a suffix, means you. When ka is at the end of a verb, it means you. When ka is at the end of a noun, it means your. All right, let's look at the laser pointer. Labab ka, lib, mind or heart. That's a object. It's a thing. So this ka means your. This word we see right here, where has sheep, pardon me, where be aka, hey be, from the root word in the hefil, meaning to bring, from the qual stem ba, meaning to come. Ba'ani, I am coming. He ba'a, she is coming. Anatnu ba'im, we are coming. So now this weh in the beginning serves as a prefix. Hey be aka. This is the third person masculine singular. Past tense, but with the while consecutive, with the while as a prefix makes it future. And this ka means you. The Lord thy God will bring thee or you. Thee is the Old English for you. Yod he wah he Elohir ka. The Most High, he will bring you. We have to understand conjugation, Israel. The point in going all of that meticulous with the prefix, suffixes, and the what form of person and the verbs and so forth and so on is to show brothers and sisters that our language has structure. You can tell the character of a people by what language they use, you know. That's why I no longer use profanity on the platforms. The brother that you see there, Yirmiyahu, among others, well, mainly him, not to sit there and put no one on blast, was like, brother, stop using curse words. And then when the elders, giving them the respect in my family, who are 60 and over, is like, young one, while I'm in my 40s, we heard your video. We're not going to tell you what and what not to say. You're a grown man, but you'll reach a better, respectful audience if you don't use F-bombs. You could say fool instead of saying somebody is a dumb MF, and your point is still getting across. Furthermore, if you're dedicating this, as it says here, to the Most High, giving honor to the Most High, we don't have the Hebrew knowledge in our records where profanity existed. Most of the Hebrew we know come out of the scriptures. So now if ancient Israel did have curse words, for the lack of a better term, we wouldn't know it now. So just be approachable. As the Apocrypha says, make yourself acceptable to the congregation. Doesn't mean that you're playing simp. Where he be akayo de wahe Eloheka, and the Lord thy God, he will bring you El Haaretz unto the land Ashel Yarashu Aboteka, which your fathers possess. Yarash means to possess. This Yarashu, that U sound means it's the third person masculine plural. Yarash, to possess. You might hear sisters with the name Yerusha. The word Yerusha means possession. All right, so we want to point that out. Yarashu aboteaka. Now we went over the word abot, correct? Remember? We went over the word abot, meaning fathers or ancestors. Aboteka, your fathers, your ancestors. We reach ta, and you shall possess it. What is it? This ta sound stronger at the end. The aretz, the land. Land in Hebrew is represented in the feminine. That's why that hay has with the dot in it called a what is that called? I'm gonna have to look it up. Can any Hebrew scholar? It slips my mind at the moment. That dot inside the hay, I forgot what it's called. See, nobody's perfect. But if any brother or sister can correct me or enlighten me, because I forgot what that is called inside of that hay. But what it signifies, what it's telling you to do, is strengthen the sound of the H longer, because it's a feminine matter. Because aretz, meaning land or earth, is in a feminine principle in Hebrew. You put your seed in the earth, your apple tree seed, your guava seed, you get whatever you put into the earth. Wehe tibka, and he will do you good. We hear the word tib, tob, good, tab, mutab, better, tib, to do good. The he feel stem, tob, meaning good, meaning how are you? I'm tob. This is the root form in that particular case here. Wehe tibka, this ka meaning you, because it's a verb. The ka at the end of a verb signifies the suffix meaning you, Y-O-U. We heal the bika, and he will multiply you. We say toda rabah. Rabah means many or most. From the word rub, meaning to multiply. We heal the ka, and he will multiply ka. This is a verb. That ka means you. Me aboteka, above your fathers. This ka means your. Abot, fathers. That is a noun. So the ka at the end of a noun means your. Brothers and sisters, these are things that we sit there and care to bring out for reference purposes. When Israel got into the land of Canaan, one of the lands that they named in the northern part of it was named Dan after Dan, their father. So now Israel, we know there's nothing wrong with giving respect to your ancestors. One generation plants the trees and another gets the shade. So we don't have to sit there and conjure the dead. We can read what Solomon left on record. We can see the record left in the Tanakh. We can see the records left by our immediate ancestors, and we can sit there, brothers and sisters, and cherish it. We want to, brothers and sisters, close out this presentation with the timing allotted and giving honor and praise to the Most High. Okay, somebody wrote a my peak in the Hebrew alphabet. Hey, thank you for putting that in. So let's pull this back up. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, my friend. So here we go, looking at it right here. Slideshow from current slide. Now, the comment that you see there, right? Let me read it. If I may. Thank you for that, family. The brother wrote, a mapik in the Hebrew alphabet, specifically in the letter hey, as we went over, thank you. The mapik, a dot inside the letter, indicates that the hey should be pronounced as a closing stop, a faint H sound. Thank you for that. Yes, that is the number to reach me at, 908-587-4841. But yes, thank you for that, because I forgot, looking at this right here, and I'm going to leave that up there, what all right. The thing I just enlarged, we're going to show with the laser pointer. I forgot what that dot in there was called. Thank you for typing that in. All right. looking at that in that particular case. Thank you again, my brother and my friend. All right. So, what can we say concerning that kind of matter? To show that in that case. Thank you. The brother asks, is that the number on the screen to contact you? Yes, 908-587-4841. Shalom, my brother, Yirmiyahu. I can be reached. You want to stop the camera? For those who are interested at the number that you see across there in the screen, I take it as asked, not trying to be mean. If I can be heard well and people in good spirits, please type in the number 4. Well, I guess I don't see a 4, but I guess the brother was heard. And I'm open again to constructive criticism. For those who do know, say maybe a year or 2 years ago, thank you for that, family. It was okay with me using profanity on the platform. I don't do that no more. You can get your point across and reach a better, wiser audience than that. You understand? Looking at that in that case. Thank you, Roy Sr. So, if you look, brothers and sisters, in the description, there is a link if we will, to the book here. A brother has been pushing and promoting books for quite some time. And I'm happy to say that no one can say that a brother ever got money and didn't give the book. See, because that's one of the things, and it's not to get too personal. When I was a child, I was a thief. I'm no longer that. One of the things that would worry me. Okay, you just tried to call. That was your number, my brother. Let me see. In that particular case, let me see. Okay, I did get it, but because I'm online right now, I declined it. But thank you in that particular case. Yes, I do have an email. I'm going to post the email in that particular case. YYISRAEL22 at yahoo.com. Okay, thank you for that. This is my email. Looking at it in that particular case and so forth. Roy Sr. wrote, I've been trying to learn Hebrew on my own, having a little trouble. How can I get better lessons? Well, I do offer Hebrew lessons. Thank you for that in that particular case. I don't want to get sidetracked, but my biological older sister and my little princess started talking. My little princess is 18. She's going to talk about things that she's not going to talk to me about. She may talk to her aunt, my sister, about things that she not going to talk maybe to her mom about. Why do I mention that? Is because know your people. When we start talking about it takes a village to raise a child, and it's about communities and so forth and so on, then let us be each other's valuable resources. The rules that I have regarding teaching Hebrew is one has to subscribe to the platform called Mori Yeshaya Hebrew Lessons. You can look that up on YouTube and get the books Hebrew is Easy, volume 1 through 5. You can get that by Zailing me or Cash Apping me, and then I send it, or you can buy them on your own, all right, on Amazon. All right, so let me type in what I'm talking about. All right. Looking at it in this particular case. Thank you for that, family. Hebrew is Easy, volume 1 through 5. Each of those books is $6 each. All right. The other requirement is one must have subscribed to the channel Moreh, Yeshaya, Hebrew lessons. All right. Now, when you called me, I don't have it set up and I still need constructive criticism. How do I have it set up where you can speak while I'm speaking? In that particular case, because I know in some platforms they have it to where you can call in and then you can speak on the channel. What I can do is send anybody a link if they have StreamYard and they can sit there and share like that. But through the telephone, I don't know how to do that in that particular case. All right. So now, but we want to sit there and make the channel better. I appreciate that. One must have subscribed to the channel, Moreh Yeshaya Hebrew Lessons. And have the books, Hebrews Easy, Volume 1 through 5. Now, if you care to get that from me, the Cash App is $ Moreh 23. All right. Looking at that in that particular case. So you can get those books online on Amazon, or you can get those books through me directly. All right. Looking at that in that particular case. Happy to see you too online, my brother and friend. All right. So yes, my telephone number is across the screen. We're going to end the presentation soon. It's going on 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am free to speak, text, talk, WhatsApp, and so forth during the morning time this time, because in the later afternoon, say about using Eastern Standard Time, after 1 o'clock, I got to get ready because I got a work shift to sit there and do on quote unquote Sundays. So the Sunday morning is pretty cool, say in that particular regard. Again, 908-587-4841. Give me a call, give me a text. We shall speak. Those who are interested in getting the books, you can get it on your own or through the platform, through myself. Okay. We hope and pray that everybody is well and will be better. Thank you for that, family. Shalom. Shalom, shalom. So, for those who are interested, again, yes. Shalom. You can call me, text me, 908-587-4841. Cash App, if you want to do it that way, is, as pointed out here, $More23. All right. And again, that's my number across the screen, 908-587-4841. We're going to conclude this presentation. Most High bless. Shalom. Stay tuned. We do intend to have more presentations in the future. Shalom.